So I don't think there's a week that goes by that I don't get asked what type of camera gear I use and software I use for creating videos for this channel. So this week I thought I would address some of that, show you guys the equipment that I use and some of the pros and cons with it. Before we start off, I want to mention I have no filming background or very limited. The little bit that I did was when I was a teenager. I was really big into skateboarding. My dad had given us some old video camera that the viewfinder didn't work on, so we pretty much blindly aimed that in the direction of different people skating. And I think we made 1 or 2 skate videos. And what we did is we took the out of the camera, ran that into a VCR, took the audio from a CD player and ran that into the VCR, and then we hit play on the camcorder and hit record on the VCR, and built our videos that way. That's about as extreme as my video editing has been since the start of all this. This is the very first camera I bought. Originally bought it so we could film my daughter's life. We haven't had cell phones for 3 or 4 years, pretty much since we had moved out here. I think I started making videos in March. I think the day after I got this camera, I put up my first video. I was going out cutting firewood and I was all excited about using it. So this is a Canon Vixia HFR 500. Got it at Best Buy. I think it's about $150. They were clearancing them off because the newer model is coming out, and we knew that this filmed in 1080. It also had a microphone port, so if we ever wanted to do that, you know, add a microphone, that capability was there. It also has the ability to run, like you can see here, still while being plugged in, which works out really nice, especially for the cold winter months here in Minnesota. It's pretty abusive on these batteries. However, it does not have time-lapse capability. I think the very first time-lapse video is basically me turning on this camera and recording for an hour of me hauling firewood in, or out of the woods, hauling logs out. And I just made it look like a time-lapse by bringing into the video editing software. However, some of the other time-lapse videos after that were basically me sitting in the field with this camera sitting on a tripod, and if you look down here, there's actually a little photo button, and if I tap that, it takes a photo. So what I would do is set a timer on my watch, and then every 10 seconds, take a photo, and then I'd bring it all in, set them all at the same length. But if you notice, you know, you're getting a slight bit of movement every time you bump that button, even when it's sitting on a tripod, so you don't get a very crisp, clean time-lapse. So halfway through the summer, we started experimenting, trying to find a cell phone service that worked. The closest thing that we could find that's somewhat working in our area was by Verizon, and at that time I think the iPhone 6s was just around the corner of coming out, so I ended up getting an iPhone, you know, somewhat of a, I guess, as decent a price as you can get on on cell phones nowadays. Holy cow. So I ended up getting that. My wife ended up getting an Android phone. So the cell phone I have actually uses records in 1080. So I'm guessing most people's phones record in that. My wife ended up staying with Android, and her phone actually records in 4K, but I have yet to experiment with her phone because 1080 seems to be good enough for me at the moment. I'm not really a guy that's going to race out and go spend a little more money because, like, to be honest, I think the difference between 1080 and 4K is not that much difference. There's a much bigger jump between 720 and 1080. So I ended up getting an iPhone 6, not the 6s, but the 6. That's what I'm using right now. And then the one other thing I did invest in is a microphone. Somewhere, oh boy, I'm somewhere this fall, like not that long ago, I ended up purchasing a Video Mic Pro little microphone. However, if you look at these cameras, they don't have any hot shoes, so there's no real easy way to attach it. So I had to get a little creative. I ran out to the pole barn. I found a clamp and ended up actually garbage picking some bolts that just happened to be the right size, and built up a little rig where I could then clamp that right onto my tripod. So let's switch cameras real quick. So like I said, I use my cell phone for most of the recordings. You know, it's got all the capabilities of like time-lapse and slow-mo and different things like that. And then I'll use this to be able to mount it onto a tripod. Basically a springy type thing. I go through these things like it's nothing. The cheap plastic on these just doesn't hold up, especially in Minnesota winters. But that's what I do. I can usually get these things for pretty close to $1 off of eBay. So if I go through, 10 of them a year, it's $10 or something. And I haven't really looked at the nicer ones yet, but that's down the road, I guess. I'll start kind of reevaluating that. So like I said, for the microphone, I use Video Mic Pro or whatever. I've built this little contraption. It's basically a bolt that runs through here, and then another type of spacer nut that pushes it up a little bit higher, and then this just twists right onto that, and then I'm able to clamp it directly onto the tripod and aim it the way I need to. It works directly right into the Canon camera. However, if I want to use my iPhone, I have to use this special cable here, which then allows me to plug it directly into the microphone or the headphones port on the phone itself. So enough of that. Let's talk a little bit about the software real quick. The very first video I did, I used a program called OpenShots that ran on Linux. If you're not familiar with what Linux is, I don't know if I'd really worry about it too much. Basically, you got Windows, Mac. Linux is another operating system, but I would not go the path of installing Linux to run OpenShots. Matter of fact, I think I saw recently that they had a Windows release that came out, so that might be something you could explore if you're looking for a free video editor. A lot of times other people recommend Windows Movie Maker, or if you're cool enough to have an Apple Mac product, you could use iMovie, which is another free one. I think a lot of the big YouTubers all use like Final Cut Pro, I think it is. But I'm not that cool. I have a Windows machine, make do with what I got here. So the software that I've been using all the way up until last weekend has pretty much been Corel Video Studio, besides maybe one of the first few videos that I did. This is a pretty decent software. It's pretty easy to use. I mean, with any software, there's a little bit of a learning curve. There's some kind of cool features that you can do. You can somewhat do, it's not really a green screen effect, but you kind of create a mask and then green screen that out. So there was like a video where I had myself walking in the background. There was another video I did where I had a G.I. Joe moving. It was basically two videos sort of overlaid on top of each other. So that's kind of a cool thing. Also, the real nice part about Corel Video Studio, and I think this is pretty good compared to a lot of other softwares that I've seen. I haven't, obviously tried other ones, but I've heard a lot of people complain about render times and stuff like that. And it's, how long it takes for that video to render. I don't think I ever have to wait more than 10 to 15 minutes at max using Corel Video Studio to render that program out. I have been playing with another program called HitFilm Express, which is a free version. And they also have a pro version, which is around $350. Or if you download the Express, the free version, it is kind of neat because you have the ability to sort of add modules. And they have like, coloring pack type things. So if you need to do more color correction or color grading, you can do that. Or if you want some more of the audio type stuff, you can buy that package. And they range anywhere from like $9 a package up to, I don't know. It seemed like most of them are around $25 or else $9.99 or something like that. So it's a software I've been exploring with. The main reason for that is I've been wanting to be able to get into doing some color correction type stuff. There's just certain stuff I film and the lighting is just all weird and the video just looks a little off, and I'd like to have the little extra capability of cleaning that up. But with that software, render time is horrendous. And I think that's the norm for a lot of those more advanced type softwares. That last video I put out last weekend of the family and I, that was the first time I've ever used it. It took about an hour to render out that 3-minute video. When I go to bed, I mean a lot of times it's like after dinner or something, I'll start uploading the video and it won't be done until somewhere in the middle of the night, just because our internet speeds are so slow. I mean 5 hours is not an uncommon upload time here. So we'll wrap this up here. If there's more stuff you guys want to find out a little bit more in detail, maybe I just brushed on these things real quick just to give you a real rough idea on how I do things behind the scenes. Hope it can help you guys out. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.